have a change of plan, so it's not Ignacio who's joining us, it's Cajo, which is the CIO at Room 00. Cajo and I have known each other for a while now, since our old McKinsey days, so it's great to be here with you here today. And today we're going to chat a lot about how to scale businesses within the real estate industry, but I want to also try to tie it up to two trends that we're seeing in the market. The first one is private equity and venture capital struggling to find real businesses to deploy capital where you can find a relatively easy exit, right? In the case of Europe, it's mostly through M&A. So I think there's a trend of people looking more and more to the real economy, looking more at real businesses, tech-enabled businesses, but yeah, there's a lot of people talking and looking at AI, but there's also a lot of growth funds looking at real businesses that are profitable and are doing, let's say, real economy trends. And the second one is within real estate specifically, most of the large institutional capital investors are no longer deploying capital into assets directly, but are rather finding platforms to deploy capital, right? So I think Room 00 is probably one of the best and most exciting companies in Europe in the space. So Cajo, why don't you quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing at Room?
Perfect. Thank you, Miguel, and thanks for having us here. We're very excited. Thanks for the warm introduction. The way that we see Room 00, no? Basically Room 00 is a combination between hospitality, real estate, and technology. And the reason why Room 00 exists is because on one side we saw the opportunity of the new coming consumers that we are thinking about millennials, Gen Z. These are growing consumers, so bigger numbers, more purchasing power as they grow. And on the other side, on the supply side, we saw that when people are traveling, they are demanding new experiences, new spaces, new design, new ways of interacting with the physical space, new ways of buying and purchasing your travel moments. And therefore, we saw that this space was, on one side, you had the traditional players, so big hotel chains, big hospitality chains, that they've been always doing the product for their consumers of their moment. So when these companies were founded 10 or 100 years ago, they have these consumers and thinking on them. But for us, we thought that no one was thinking on the new and upcoming consumers, and that's how Room 00 started.
And Cajo, you've raised recently the largest growth round in the real estate space, which is obviously super exciting. But can you tell us a little bit more about how that happened and basically like what do you think that investors valued both internationally and locally to back a company like yours? And how do you thought internally about raising so much capital and now deploying it?
Yes, I think being here today, we're in a physical space, we're not in the metaverse, we're not having these conferences online, although we obviously were interacting much more, during COVID, after COVID, I think things are happening more also in the virtual space. But still, I hope we never go on holidays virtually. I think we want to go, we want to travel, we want to go to the places ourselves, have these experiences, the touch, the feel, speaking to the people, speaking with the local people. You now come to a city like Madrid, you can come to a concert of Bad Bunny, you can come to see the Pope, you can come for the F&B, you can go for the museum. So at the end of the day, you still want, I think like we all want these kind of physical interactions, with people or with local offerings. And therefore, on one side, our business, which is hospitality, drives in the fact that you need physical spaces, you need real estate, and our business model is having the best locations in terms of real estate. You come to a city like Madrid, Barcelona, Rome, Lisbon, London, cities where we are now present. You want to be in the city center, and you want to be walking distance to the main spots. Now people have a very fast-paced life, especially when you go to a city, and you want to pack many things in a day. If it's not like, when I travel, I see like two types of occasions. Sometimes you go to a resort, and you want to do nothing for a day, so that's very nice, and that's one type of travel moment. But other travel moments, you want to go to a happening city like Madrid, so you want many things happening. So I think it's very important that you are centrally located, first thing. Second thing, I think it's very important that you have a space which is nicely designed, which is safe, okay, so 24/7 security, and for us, very important that it's a good value for money. I think right now when we see the hospitality prices are going up, it's not becoming the affordability of traveling. I think it's also an issue. So for us, it's important to tackle that in a sense, no? That we give a good value for money offering to our customers. And therefore, we need to figure out how to find the best real estate in the cities and be able to optimize it. Therefore, you need, and tying that back to your question is, you need capital to do that. At the end of the day, the real estate prices are, as we all know, unfortunately going up and up, and therefore we needed we need the right amount of capital in order to be able to unlock these real estate opportunities in the right locations. So then we can put the layer of our hospitality product and have the right offering for our customers.
And when you think about Room, do you think about it as a real estate business, or you think about it as a hospitality business? And how do you think about creating the competitive advantage around this?
Yes, our business has been evolving over time. You know, I think we started in 2012, 2013, so it's been a while now. At the beginning, it was a very small ambition. So okay, we see this opportunity, let's do it. We spent a fair amount of time doing, let's say, the 0 to 1, no? So basically making the product right, making the unit economics in the right way. But eventually we saw the opportunity to scale the business, to go from 1 to 10. So basically building up the business, and now we're in the stage of going from, let's say, from 10 to 100, no? With the funds we raise. We see ourselves now as a platform also because although we started as a hostel brand, we also saw that our consumers, they were traveling for different occasions with different people, and they demanded different products. So if you are traveling you are traveling by yourself, you are traveling with your friends, you are traveling for work, with family, with your couple, for different occasions, you have different products, and that's why we started evolving our brands. So we started creating new brands. Right now we have 4 different brands in the hostels and the boutique lifestyle hotel space, and we became a platform of brands. And on the other side, what this enables us to do is to have underlying operations that goes across the brands. So therefore, we have scalability, we have good unit economics, but also we're able to tackle different moments of travel of our consumers.
Let's dig deeper on a few of the things that you just said. Let's maybe start with the scaling playbook, right? Because we as Fifth Wall, we are investors in multiple built world companies in the US, mostly in Europe also. We have deployed about 3.5 billion in total over the last 6-7 years. We haven't seen really that many businesses scale, combining, I would say, 3 things, right? 1, a clear product market fit and a clear product proposition, which is what you've been speaking about. 2 is a profitable business model with comparable metrics to the incumbents that were doing whatever it is that you are doing, right? Like you have comparable metrics across the board. And then scaling and reaching multiple countries, right? Which is, I guess, the journey you're on right now. But I guess, what is the secret for having been able to scale up to today? And especially, I guess, on the international playbook and being profitable. And what are the challenges now that you are like a different animal, let's say, once you've raised these massive rounds, right?
Yes, I think on one side, no, what I'll have to say, no, even that we have our story that we scale quick, and it's true that we are scaling quicker. Still a very hard job because you go one by one. It's not that you are buying buildings 5 by 5. No, you still have to find the locations one by one. At the end of the day, here we're talking about technology that scales very quickly, but the physical space still is step by step. No, so on one side, now I will say our process, no, to filter, to buy, to structure, to analyze things became mostly a better oil machine that allows us to make quicker decisions and we can move faster. On the other side, we also started building up internally all the technology, no, that allows us to operate all these assets in an efficient way. And when I think about technology, there are 2 things. On one side is the technology that the customer doesn't see. On the other side is the technology that does interact with the customers. So on the side that the customers do not see, we obviously have everything that we internally use. No? So if we're thinking about our P&L, so all the revenue management, all the dynamic pricing, so how do you sell your product? I think there is a technology that once you make it work on one unit, you can scale it. And then there is also a technology that you use to operate and to manage the properties, to do all the different.
Can you pick one or two examples so that we show it? Like one, I don't know if you want to pick pricing or right, because like you are having outstanding metrics, being a real estate, but like a real economy business with technology. Can you give us one example on the internal one and one on the external one that it's helping you actually get P&L results through technology?
Yeah, let's talk about pricing, for example. No, and the concept is very basic. Sometimes the implementation is a bit more complex, and that's something that we have improved over time. No, but basically, if you think about dynamic pricing in a city like Madrid, the prices fluctuate a lot, and they're based on how much inventory you have and what's happening on the city. So how much demand there is coming. For example, we have now this event of South Summit. We have many times we have Champions League games, and we know a team in Madrid is playing against a team in Germany, and they're flying in. So you know there will be at least 30,000 people coming from Germany to Madrid, not to Spain. They're coming to Madrid, and they want to be in certain locations. So you can target very well right now with dynamic pricing to your incoming customers, and you can also adapt very quickly to how much inventory you have left to move, spike up or decrease your pricing. At the end of the day, what's important in a real estate or in a hospitality concept is that you have a good occupancy. No? That obviously we have a building and we want the building to be fully utilized, right? So we don't want to have one single empty room in any single night, because a single room, it's like an empty room is basically no revenue, because the cost you already have it. So you have to work through your revenue management models that you optimize pricing and occupancies. That's what we do in terms of dynamic pricing. And in terms of internal processes, I would say, to be honest, it's not rocket science itself. It's more about ensuring that that happens. No, okay, how much time it takes you to clean a room? How do you figure out issues with the properties and the maintenance? How you clean it? No, now we are implementing all these automated check-ins and automated opening of the doors and all these physical interactions between technology and the people. No, but we still believe, in contrast to some other players, that it's very important to have physical people in the spaces. And I put you an example. If you go 2 a.m. to your room, you want to check in or you want to open the door, and suddenly it happens, it doesn't work. Your key doesn't work, they give you a code, or your NFC tapping the phone doesn't work, or something happens, the Wi-Fi is down, no? You still need like someone to physically help you to get to your space. So that's why we believe that we cannot take the technology to the extreme, no, where everything is fully automated and we don't have people. I think it needs to be like slowly being integrated. And at the end of the day, going to a place where you're going to sleep, it's an important security place, no, that everyone human needs. So we believe that there has to be like physical interaction with people still, no? But you have the layer on the back of the technology that helps you make the process more efficient, or that one person can service more people at the same time.
You also mentioned, Cajo, that as a business you have evolved in terms of how you thought about capital and buying assets and so on. There's a bit of a debate between, I would say, venture capital growth investors around what type of structures to choose, and more, I guess, moving to private equity structures, right? Obviously, for founders and entrepreneurs, they sometimes hesitate on taking this type of more, let's say, private equity type deals without disclosing too much, like whatever you want to disclose, but like yours fits more on the second bucket. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you thought about that capital raise? And I think there's been an evolution in the business, so how you thought about that evolution and handing over, I would say, a big part of decision making and a big part of the company to external investors?
Yes. No, I would say that in the life, no, of a company, no, there are always different stages and different levels of risk. It's like, if you think about venture capital, private equity, seed money, your initial like family and friends, no? So basically, people take different risks and they have different outcomes, no? So I would say our company has gone through all these three phases of the funding. The first one is obviously friends and family. So you bootstrap, you do whatever you can, you put some money together and you start your concept, no? You go from 0 to 1, that we did it, and then you start talking either to some smaller funds, private investors, and when we think about real estate, and we talked about this in the past, no? But if you are not able to convince your local investors, so you are from Madrid, you cannot convince investors from Madrid, forget about going to the US or the UK or a different country to convince investors, no? I think first you have to convince who's your first ring of your network. So I think the step for us was getting the local investors on board with our business, which was basically supporting us acquiring the real estate for us to manage and to operate. I would say that's from 1 to 10. And then once you have proven that you have the right unit economics and you are able to scale the model, is when you can start thinking about, okay, how much money I need, and if I need like a big amount of money, probably I need to go internationally to find it, either to a US private equity, to larger funds, no? And that's the step we took last year when we decided, okay, now we have the company which is ready, and we have to go to London, to New York, to speak to the global investors, and we're able to get private equity capital into the company. So now we had more volume or more firepower, no, to continue building our business.
We have like 3 minutes left, so let's, 2 final questions. The first one is, you're attracting a lot of talent, and you are attracting a lot of talent from London, from other places that are actually coming to Madrid. You're a Madrid-based company. How are you doing it, right? Like, it's not very obvious, right? And you're especially hiring for very key roles in the company where traditional startups usually have the same talent for the whole stage of the business, and founders and managers don't necessarily recognize that they might need help. How are you doing it, and how are you being able to attract so much talent to the company?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day is providing a platform or a company where people see the energy, the ambition, and that they can bring value to the table, no? I think for us, when we think about the people we hire for different teams and departments, we don't necessarily need that they have, let's say, hospitality experience or very exact experience. At the end of the day, we think that it's better to have people who have the right level of energy, the right level of capabilities, but they're even coming from a different industry, and they bring that kind of knowledge to the company, and we try to move the needle a bit or reinvent one of the existing processes, no? That's something we like a lot. And I think at the end of the day is providing a good space for young talent, young people to grow, no? But also being in a right now more stable and a safer place, not to be, no?
I know, like, final one. I know you're living on a plane these days, and you are like having like multiple tasks to handle every day as a growth business. So, I guess what will be your advice for anyone on the audience that is thinking about going through the same journey or going through the same journey?
Maybe let me separate it in 2 parts, no? I think, personally, I think it's important to find the balance between family and work. I think we're both going through what happens in our professional careers, no? That at some point you are peaking professionally, but you're also peaking family, no? You start having the kids, the small kids, the family is very demanding, especially when the kids are small. So I think it's difficult, it's challenging, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. But it's also important, no, to find your own balance. And in different moments, sometimes you have to push more on one side or the other, but you cannot be pushing only one and forgetting the other one. So I think everyone now we need to find our balance. Second, professionally, if you wanna innovate, no, in the real estate and the technology space, no, I think it's important to remember that actually real estate and technology lives in 2 extremes, especially when we're talking about capital. Because if you think about technology, you have investors that are risk takers, they want big outcomes, they are bold, move fast, break things. whilst real estate, you have investors that are like long-term capital holders. They have had money for a long time. They want very safe, don't lose money, don't break things, don't invent anything new, no? Just be very safe, no? So if you want to combine both worlds, you are often speaking in a day with people on the left, people on the right. So you do have to change a bit your mindset and tailor your message. You cannot give this message to this guy, because then you will never convince him to go with you, no? So I think that's a bit thinking on this, no? Especially in real estate and technology.
Thank you, Cajo. We're over time, so it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Cheers.